The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Good evening to you and welcome to My State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke. Tonight, Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos in her first discussion here about her new appointment to this elected position, unique as the whole transition for former Lieutenant Governor Dan Mckee has been to governor, since the former governor is now the Secretary of Commerce. And you get all that, right? You're scoring at home. You know what's going on. This conversation in the sunshine was recorded on Thursday morning for this weekend. So there's that. With no further ado, background on Sabina Matos becoming the Lieutenant Governor and our conversation.
Let's get back to work.
Sabina Matos makes history. Sunday, she was formally sworn in as Lieutenant Governor, being the first person of color and second woman to hold the position. The former Providence City Council president was born in the Dominican Republic and moved to the U.S. in 1994. She tells me it's important for elected officials to represent the community.
Every little girl or every little boy in our cities and towns that see me here, I want you to know that if I did it, you can do it, and the sky is the limit.
Matos was selected by Governor Dan Mckee and unanimously confirmed by the state Senate. Mckee tells me the pair will work as a team to bring Rhode Island forward.
We're going to get to all 39 cities and towns with Sabina in her first 100 days, and we're going to introduce her to all the people that are in my network. And at the same time, Sabina's going to introduce me to people in her network. That's what it's all about, is connecting people.
Matos took the oath of office given by Secretary of State Nellie Gorbea. Gorbea was born in Puerto Rico and says she is proud to be a Rhode Islander.
Our best public policy comes when there's a diversity of opinions, perspectives, and backgrounds around the policymaking table. Today is what it shows that can happen. Rhode Island is a leader, not just in New England, but across the country.
Matos tells me her first couple weeks as Lieutenant Governor have been a lot of work, but she's eager to make a difference.
There is a lot of work in this office, and working now with the governor, there is even more work. We still have more difficult work to do, but we are committed to getting it done.
So we congratulate the Lieutenant Governor, Sabina Matos. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much for having me here today.
You excited?
I am. I'm really excited about this opportunity. I'm very aware about what this means in what is a great opportunity that I'm having. And I'm extremely excited. But it's someone that is excited the most in my family is my daughter. My daughter is beyond excited about the whole experience.
Oh, sure. Hey, come on. I think we forget sometimes that, politicians are people too.
Yes.
The families are highly invested in the time that you take in your career. Politics is not a dirty word by nature. If you're a bad politician, that's a problem. But we have to remember that this is part of achievement, and it means something. And there are some interesting symbolic things that come along with your appointment.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me what you think they are?
Sure. And I just want to touch back on what you said, that politicians are human. Sometimes we forget about that. We are humans like everybody else, and we have families that are around us, and we're trying to make the best decision possible with the information that we have. I think that is something that we always need to keep in mind. I have to say, I'm very aware about my appointment and the significance that it has, being the second female to be holding the office of Lieutenant Governor, and also in my case being the first person of color. I like to identify myself as Afro-Latina because I'm very proud of my Black roots. I'm very proud of my Latina roots, and that's how I identify myself. And I want to make sure that every other little girl, every other Black and brown little girl, that it could be someone that just arrived into the country, or it could be someone that was born here, has been here for generations, that they can see themselves and see that, well, I can do that. If she was able to do it, I could do it also. So that's how I see the significance of this appointment from that perspective.
Sure. Okay. All of that is all of that included. You know, I could say all of that aside, but it's not aside. It's part of the equation that
It's part.
that Governor McKee was using. Although he will try to. It's interesting. He'll try to downplay all of what you just said. It's look. I think we just have to be clear and honest. And by the way, you know, I'm very bullish on the governor, and I think he's one of the most authentic public officials I've ever met. Perhaps in Rhode Island, the most authentic. So, but he too gets gun shy over the idea that this appointment was strategic politically for some of the things that you were just talking about. Not just their intrinsic meaning to other women and to minorities in the state, but to the electability to governor. So it's a mixed bag. Other than what you're speaking about, though, what do you think you're delivering to that position that puts you over the top in what I thought was a really weird way to choose the lieutenant governor? What do you think puts you over the top? Sorry.
So I think what happens is it's the other component. If we start talking only about that I'm a female, or that I'm a minority, that I'm a Latina, we're forgetting the other part. I have been in an elected office for over 10 years. I have run for office twice, 3 times I'm being reelected. I ran as an elector to be an elector in for the presidential elections, and I was the person that got the most votes. So I think what we're trying to do, and I believe what the governor is trying to do, is not just reduce the decision being made just based on me being a female or being a Black woman. I think that is taken away from what I have done in my work in the city of Providence, in my trajectory in politics. I think it was a combination of factors. Another thing that I believe played a key role is that Governor McKee and I are very aligned in our political experience and also in the things that we care about.
Well, it was interesting. You talk about you and Governor McKee being aligned. Let me dig into something here. I saw you on Joe Paolino's show on a friendly competitor, and he was asking you about, this was prior to you being chosen, when you were in the mix of rumored to possibly be a choice for lieutenant governor. And he asked you a pretty pointed question about whether or not you would support Dan Mckee for governor. Now, people need to understand, sometimes this gets missed on the civics level, that lieutenant governor and governor run as separate offices. I know that Governor McKee would like to change that. He would like to change this to become a constitutional change that would bring a tandem nature, much like the presidency and the vice presidency. That won't be accomplished for 2024, but it might get on the ballot for 2024 for the next time. He is, though, spiritually trying to show you as a partner, putting you in the press conferences and everything else. But Joe Paolino asked you a question about your support for him running for governor, and you said, well, if he I'm paraphrasing, if he chooses me, I will support him for governor. Well, what if he had not chosen you? Would you have support? Are you a Dan Mckee, elect person in 2022, rather, not 2024, 2022?
So no, that's a really good question. So at the moment, as you said, was before the process has concluded. We're still going through the process. I believe that based on my political point of view that are very aligned with him, eventually I would have been supporting him. The way how I see it is, I was going to make the decision at some point. I make my decision earlier. That's the way I see it. And earlier you were talking about politics. People think politics is a dirty word. I don't think politics is bad, and I don't think that moving up on in your political career is bad. What I think that is bad is if you're doing it just because, making decisions just because you want to move up. If I didn't have this political alignment that I have with McKee, and I was just saying I'm going to support him just because I want him to appoint me or because he appointed me, that would be wrong. If I didn't have similarities in the political positions, I would not even have submitted my letter of interest for the position. I think that's what is key. Are politicians moving up because they're making decisions just because they want to move up, or are they being consistent with their beliefs and their values?
By the way, in this environment and in this state, especially when we get to the top of the state pyramid, that's what's happening. You think Seth Magaziner is loading up dough to run for governor because he thinks McKee's doing a poor job, and he thinks it's his time. You think Nellie Gorbea is like saying, oh, I don't know about Dan Mckee. No, she just thinks it's her time. So let's not kid each other. There's a finesse of this topic that needs to be understood. In as much as I don't think politics is a dirty word, and I don't think moving up is a bad thing, the scheming that goes on and the watching of the landscape is chronic. You know that, right?
It happens. It happens. I have a lot of respect for Secretary Gorbea from Treasurer Magaziner. I have worked with them throughout different activities and committee and issues in the community. I think they are very decent public leaders, public servants that really want to do the right thing. I think we are in a position right now in which we have candidates that are really good, decent individuals that wants to represent the state. This is where we are right now, and we're lucky to be in that position. I chose early that I'm going to be supporting Governor Mckee.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're locked in now, as they say in the business, unless we have some real political drama where you two go your separate ways, which, by the way, is always possible. In the meantime, when we come back, something you said at a press conference this week that really alarmed me, and then we'll talk a little bit about the dynamics of actually what you plan to do in the job. Sabina Matos, our new lieutenant.
Yes, everyone that lives here in the state of Rhode Island is a Rhode Islander. I consider them citizens of the state of Rhode Island as they live in the state of Rhode Island, yes.
Those were comments made by Sabina Matos in a press conference earlier this week in response to a question that was a series of questions that was kind of a baiting deal about your feelings about immigration, and inclusion in Rhode Island. But what you said there, Lieutenant Governor, is absolutely dead inaccurate. It scared the bejesus out of me when I heard it, because I thought, Latina, Lieutenant Governor, former President of the City Council, if you're going to tell me that all Rhode Islanders are citizens, we got a big problem here. You want to clarify that? Because that is not a small mistake. I know.
I believe that all Rhode Islanders are citizens of Rhode Island. It's the same way how I believe that we are all citizens of the planet Earth. That's my way of interpretation. Now, if you're talking about citizens of the United States, someone that was born of the United States, or someone that got the immigration paper in order to be a citizen of the United States, that's a different definition. My definition was about someone that lives in this state. That's how I saw it, and so on. But I can see your confusion.
Well, guess what?
Yes.
Far be it from me not to make a recommendation to politicians, something I've been doing for 40 years on the planet. Change your definition, because if you're going to start mixing the word citizen into residency, part of the neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I think you and I are in line on a lot of these immigration matters. I do believe that we have such a cross connect between federal immigration policy and the pressure on states. And look, if we've got illegal immigrants or undocumented residents, which I prefer, the latter, and you want to give them a driver's license? Absolutely. If we want them to work, we got to get them there. They're not going to walk on 95. I mean, I get all of that, but if you want to have fundamental credibility, you can't use that term because what it does is just send a signal and causes a firestorm with the folks who want to do nothing but point out that you're wrong-headed on this stuff. So, citizen means somebody who is legally available to vote. That's what it means. In the context that you use it, I'm just suggesting if you keep repeating that my version of citizen thing, you're going to put yourself in the soup. That's all.
Well, if we're talking about voting, the definition of citizenship is someone that was born in the United States,
but
or someone that
anybody who asks you about that is thinking about that.
All
no,
right.
So that's my
Fair
no
point.
charge. That's my no charge consultancy for you on that one. In the meantime,
thank you. I may have to declare that. I will have to declare that in my financial disclosure.
well, you got the tape for as the evidence. Listen,
Yeah.
let's since we're talking about that, tell me about your role in this conversation about the melting pot that Rhode Island has got to be. Are you and the Lieutenant Governor going to work hard on this driver license thing? What else do you think is integral to making this economy buzz and this neighborhood in Rhode Island get along better?
Yes, I think I can play a very active role in speaking with the governor and his team and bringing the perspective of what I know from my experience working in the community. And the reality is that we have undocumented people that live in our city, in our state, that need employment. And we have businesses that actually rely on their services, rely on them for the workforce. So we can play ignorant, make believe that we don't know what is true, but that's the reality. And in order for us to be able, for those businesses to be successful, the one that I have a big challenge right now trying to find workforce to reopen. I was with the governor in Newport speaking with several businesses. We went to one of the restaurants and they were expressing to us the big challenge that they have to find workforce right now. And many of the workforce that they rely on, you can tell by the conversation, it was implied, they know that many of the workers they're relying on are undocumented. So we all know that, and we're pretending that is not the case.
Right.
So we have to make sure that those individuals that are undocumented are getting the vaccine to make sure that the safety of all of us is not at risk. We have to make sure that they're able to get from point A, from point B. They're able to get from their home to their work. So, and we have to make sure that if they're driving in our roads, they have insurance, right? The last thing you want is to have an accident with someone that didn't go for the proper training to know how to drive and how to obey the laws here, or that doesn't have an insurance, and then you're gonna be stuck with the bill. So,
no, that's going to be an important thing. When legislation is written, you got to change the insurance policies too in this state, because you can't give somebody a license in a vacuum when insurance isn't available to them. So it's a package, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, when we come back, I want to talk about the role of Providence in the state. Since you've left that official capacity, there's a conversation there. We'll be right back with Sabina Matos, or Lieutenant Governor State. I only have a few minutes. Thanks for the visit. We'll hopefully do this on the radio side too, and have some more time to chat as we go. Providence, I've always said, as Rhode Island goes, Providence goes, and inverse. As Providence goes, so goes Rhode Island. Outside of Providence, people don't feel that way. The provinciality is really at an all-time high. So tell me, give me as concise a perspective on that as you possibly can.
Yes, I think I agree with you. I believe that Providence is a key part of the success of Rhode Island. And I go through this challenge when I was in the Providence City Council and as the president. When I'm speaking with individuals outside of Providence, they always feel, oh, here comes Providence with a handout. But many occasions, they don't understand that the city of Providence, more than 40% of our land is non-taxable due to the hospital, due to the university, due to the government buildings. And that puts us puts the city of Providence in a very difficult position. it's only so much land available. We are not able to tax the institutions that are occupying more than 40% of our land. And those institutions are a big part of what makes Rhode Island the state that we are. So I think we need to recognize the contributions that Providence brings to the state of Rhode Island and to the success of the state of Rhode Island.
Why do you think there's such a, there's just, I mean, I even see it in the airport conversation. I thought they should have called it the Providence T.F. Green Airport. I mean, every major airport in America is named for the metro, not for the state. Who knows? I think that was protective against, well, you know, the people in East Greenwich and the people in South County, they don't like Providence. But it just, man, if we don't embrace the city other than a wildfire walk and a game at the dunk, you know, unless this state starts to understand that it's integral to all our success, I think we're DOA. Last word.
I agree. There's something that I thought we have learned last year with the pandemic, when everything started, is that how connected we are. Something that started all the way in another continent. Look how it affected all of us. And I thought we have learned a lesson, and I think we need a reminder that we are all connected. What is affecting one of us eventually is going to affect the other.
I think it's well said. Well, listen, we wish you the best of luck, and we'll keep tabs. You got to admit one thing. In the last few years, due to, I think, Governor McKee's former work in trolling the governor on a whole bunch of things during the pandemic and prior to that, but even now with this whole process, the LG position is a little bit more high profile than it's ever been. So you're on the hot seat. We'll watch you carefully.
Thank you.
All right, Sabina, thank you. Sabina Matos, our new Lieutenant Governor. Final word when we come back. Stay with us. We'll keep tabs on the Lieutenant Governor and see what her unique role ends up being, and we'll watch closely the politics of this unique partnership she has with Governor McKee. Thanks for tuning in. Weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRO2. We'll talk to you next weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye. We'll keep tabs on the Lieutenant Governor and see what her unique role ends up being, and we'll watch closely the politics of this unique partnership she has with Governor McKee. Thanks for tuning in. Weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRO2. We'll talk to you next weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye.